grim and desolate post-apocalyptic land ravaged by disasters and mutations, there existed a mysterious and dangerous community known as the Bloodfangs. They were part of a brotherhood of hunters who dedicated their lives to battling the mutants that roamed the wastelands and threatened the surviving humans. Once upon a time, before the cataclysm, they were ordinary people, but their lives were forever changed after an outbreak of an unknown infection that caused genetic mutations in some individuals. The mutants took on horrifying forms, gaining strength and aggression, becoming a menace to the ordinary people struggling to survive in the new world. The Bloodfangs, led by the legendary hunter named Ryan, became the last hope for the survivors. They possessed unique skills and knowledge that helped them not only fight the mutants but also study their nature and seek ways to prevent further spread of the infection. Hunting mutants was an extremely dangerous and challenging task. The Bloodfangs had to traverse abandoned cities and hazardous radioactive zones to locate the mutants' lairs and eliminate them. They were armed with state-of-the-art weapons and gear, and were trained in the art of combat and survival. Ryan, the leader of the Bloodfangs, was resilient and determined. He had lost his family at the hands of mutants and harbored a deep hatred for them, which burned in his heart, driving him to continue the fight. He never knew rest, always striving to protect those who were defenseless. One day, Ryan and his team received information about a new type of mutants that posed a special threat. These new mutants were known as shadow devourers. They had the ability to hide in shadows and silently infiltrate human shelters before attacking. Their fangs were sharp and deadly, and their bodies were covered in tough armor, making them nearly invulnerable. Ryan understood that the Shadow Devourers posed an insurmountable threat to the remaining humans. He gathered his team of Bloodfangs and devised a strategy to search for and eradicate these mutants. They embarked on a perilous journey through abandoned buildings and radioactive zones, following the tracks of the Shadow Devourers. For several weeks, the Bloodfang team continued their hunt for the Shadow Devourers. They encountered other mutants along their path, but thanks to their training and experience, they managed to overcome each threat. However, the Shadow Devourers left only traces and destruction in their wake. Finally, Ryan's team discovered the lair of the Shadow Devourers in a ruined building. They were prepared for battle as they infiltrated, but soon realized they had been surrounded. The Shadow Devourers were smarter than they had anticipated and had set a trap. The battle was fierce and bloody. The Bloodfang team fought with all their strength, facing the Shadow Devourers who emerged from the darkness and disappeared back into it. Despite the losses and injuries, Ryan and his team refused to surrender. In the end, through coordinated efforts and their long-standing experience, the Bloodfangs emerged victorious. The Shadow Devourers were eradicated, and their lair was destroyed. However, victory came at a high price. Several members of the team perished, and others sustained serious injuries. Ryan stood amidst the ruins, consumed by bitterness and pride for his fallen comrades. He realized that the victory over the Shadow Devourers was significant, but he couldn't dismiss the losses they had suffered. He felt a deep responsibility towards the remaining surviving members of his team and those who still needed protection from the mutants. Ryan decided that their fight must continue. He couldn't leave the wastelands in the hands of the mutants. He rallied the remaining Bloodfangs, and their wounds and bitterness became fuel for a new phase of the battle. They began constructing a new shelter where they could recuperate and prepare for the next clash with the mutants. Ryan also determined that they needed to expand their knowledge about mutations and the infection that gave rise to the Shadow Devourers. He dispatched a small group of researchers into the hazardous radioactive zones to seek answers and, perhaps, find a way to prevent further spread of the infection. Years passed, and the Bloodfangs continued their struggle for the survival of humanity. They became a symbol of hope in this dark and desolate world. Ryan, with the acquired wisdom and experience, led them, tirelessly defending people against the threat of mutants. Although no one knew when this endless confrontation would end, Ryan and his Bloodfangs vowed to fight until their last breath. After all, only they could stand against the darkness and save the world from complete annihilation.